Welcome back to Impulse Plays. I am Crazy Carl Winter here with Ryan Fire Guy Marvin. How you doing, Ryan?
Carl, I'm doing great. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. And we also have the recent Elf Lord top eighter of the Rochester Royals event, Chris, with us. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So we got a sweet match today. With the magic of post production, everybody will see the decks, but we are looking at them in Discord. We've got me playing Blue White Flippy, and then Ben is playing Landstill, Blue White Landstill. Um, what do you guys? So, Chris, what do you think about the Landstill deck versus a creature deck like Flippy?
Uh, I think this is the older brother against the younger aggro brother is what I think.
That checks
So
out. Yeah.
it's whether the control version of the same deck could beat the aggro version.
Right. Nice.
He's got a lot of good tech though.
He does, yeah. Like 4 Mishras is good against my 3 Mishras. Double Dust Bowl is good against my Mishras. But I have Withered Wayfarer. Withered Wayfarer is a very powerful card.
Not to mention I'm just a big fan. I think that's a humility in the top row.
It is a Humility in the top row. Yep, Humility is a
Yeah,
good card.
humility, pretty good card against Blue White Flippy.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see if
If it sticks.
exactly. Let's see if it'll stick and if it comes in. So we're gonna start with me on the left playing Blue White Flippy and Ben on the right playing Landstill. I don't know what happened. I must have miscut the video. So like we only have the first 2 turns missing, or we have the first 2 turns missing. So apologies for that. So Melee Mage, I believe, is on Swords to Plowshares. I didn't have anything written down for it, and then I dropped a Morph, which is a very powerful card.
I wonder what that morph could be.
It could be any number of things. It really could be.
Outside of Blue White Flippy. I mean, outside of Exalted Angel.
It
What
could be
other
Whip Quarter.
Whip Quarter? Okay.
Yeah, Whip Quarter's pretty common, relatively speaking. Okay, I'm trying to type in the things to show, and it is Swords to Plowshares. Good job,
Swords to
dude.
Plowshares.
All right,
Look
thanks,
at
pass
that.
me. So yeah, Ben is not gonna be able to
Good thing that
plow
past
anything
you
here.
listen to future you.
I know it's very
Or
considerate of
present
him.
you, depending on where you're looking.
That's true. That's true. So Ben has got a good opening for Wrath of God here on his turn 4. If I flip this Angel, which I don't think I should, because I need to bluff the counter magic.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm flipping it. Okay, I'm just going for it. I mean, he only has like 2 or 3 Wrath of Gods, so I could see that not being like super, relevant.
Yeah, I mean, unless he has another impulse here, he is basically just, getting time walked unless he looks
Right.
like he's cycling a decree for 0. I mean, look.
Yeah. He's digging for that
That's
Wrath. That's what he's got to do.
yeah.
I can't see what's in his hand.
Doesn't look like he drew it.
I don't think so. He's got a Mishra's that he moved to the front of his hand. Yeah, so that's Mishra's gonna be great against the Melee Mage. It lines up really well against that, but it does not line up very well against the Flying Exalted Angel.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is for him, if he does have a Swords to Plowshares in his hand, he can just get rid of the Exalted Angel, which is probably one of the larger threats. Oh, right, no, he does. There's a Melee Mage on Swords.
Yeah, if I ran the Mage into it, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. Not that I always have good ideas, but that would be a not good idea. Mage on STP. Good job, me. Good job, me. So this is I think the second round of our monthly event that we had for February, and we were playing for this sweet duress. And I noticed that after the fact, obviously, that the frame rate that the camera was recording at is whatever this is. So it's a little bit choppy, but gameplay's still there, thankfully.
So in response to a standstill here, we have a Factor Fiction. We got Impulse, Darker Wastes again, Mishra's Factory, and Phyrexian Furnace. Looks like you're leaning towards the pile with 3 cards. Oh, nope.
Yeah,
I don't even think it matters. I mean, Carl's got this pretty well locked up.
Yeah, I want to disincentivize the factory for sure. Oh, he doesn't take it.
That's rough to see on Ben's
no doubt.
behalf.
No doubt. It's not often the Landstill player has to break their opponent's standstill.
Yeah.
So I don't have any protection for a Wrath against a Wrath or anything like that. So if Ben hits it, he hits it, but it's not looking.
Yeah, but if he does hit it, you get to draw 3 cards.
Yep,
that's true. Well, I don't have any blue men out.
Well, yeah. But even still, if Ben untaps, goes Plains, Wrath of God, you get to draw 3 cards.
Yeah, that's true.
You're in pretty good shape. Hopefully, it'll find you a second island, so you can be able to, double spell with the 2 other blue cards in your hand.
Right. Yeah, that's not typically a problem with this deck. Like the deck has a ton of white cards. That's why I leveled it a little heavier on the white card or the plains versus the islands. Also tossed in a secluded step, which I don't think was a good idea. Like somebody asked me earlier about Coastal Tower. I'm like, I don't like coming to play tap lands in my aggro decks, and then I put a coming to play tap land in my aggro deck.
Yeah, but I mean, what comes to mind is there was a while where Pauper Burn played like 2 Forgotten Caves. And
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty similar thing of like sometimes like it depends on whether the downside of having land that enters tapped compared to I can turn this land into another card.
Right. Yeah. It's part of why I only played 1. Looks like Ben has the plains, but I don't see a beta Wrath of God. Unless I'm missing something.
I see a Swords to Plowshares, but that is currently residing in Meddling Mage's hands.
Yep.
With him only being on 5, even Impulse isn't going to get it for him this turn.
No, he won't survive. Well, no, Impulse could dig him to it, and then he could block with Mishra's Factory on the Meddling Mage.
But he can't Wrath.
True, but he could Wrath next turn.
Oh, he moves to discard.
Oh, but I drew a mana leak. That's gonna lock it up, I think. Yeah, the counter suite was something I had, I want to say struggled with, but I wasn't sure how to split things up. There's a lot of sweet counters you can play. Like you can play actual factual counterspell, or you can go with prohibits and mana leaks like I did.
All right, so he's cracking it. The standstill with an impulse.
Yeah, just gotta let that resolve. There's no reason to do anything about it.
I do think he has a swords in hand too. That's rough.
Yep. I believe I play Swords of Plowshares as well. Let me move this out of the way so I can see. Yep, I do. Yeah, so I got 2 leaks. Oh, I have a memory lapse as well. Memory lapse is a sweet counter. I like that a lot.
Impulse. Looks like he still hasn't found a Wrath of God.
It's not like impossible to have happened. Like he's only playing 3.
3?
Thought he's playing 2. Yeah. Well, this version may only have 2. I don't know if the list I showed you guys is Ben's most current Landstill list, but because he does tinker with it quite a bit. And I know he has at some points gone down to 2 Wraths before, which I don't know how I feel about that. I think Wrath of God is a very well positioned card right now in pre-modern.
Yeah, I mean, when creature decks are good, Wrath of God also good.
Yep.
Even with Mono Blue 12/12.
Right.
The card does need to attack twice.
That is true. That is true.
So, it sucks to pay 4 mana for it, and it's very likely to just get countered and just get 1-for-1.
Yep.
But
I don't want that card to come back into fashion.
I know you don't.
Well, yeah.
It can stay where it's at.
I mean, you and me both, partner.
Stay in obscurity.
Okay, we can keep control out of our format. If people just stop playing Dreadnought as much, myself included, then less Wrath of Gods will need to be played.
That's true. Yeah, I think blue-white control is really, again, like Wrath of God, is pretty well positioned right now. You've got a lot of inexpensive answers for the most common threats in the format, and the super fast aggro decks like Burn are just not really present. I don't remember at the Royals event. Were there any people playing Burn? I played against a Goblins player.
Yes, that was my loss going into top 8.
Okay.
It was the priest.
Oh, that's right.
It was the father.
That's right. The father was playing Burn, which I remember being hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I'm not gonna lie. I thought for the first 5 rounds of that event that it was a gimmick.
Oh right, yeah. So he's probably just on his way from work.
Yeah. Then I heard. Yeah, that one I had heard. Someone mention him as father. I was like, oh, this isn't a gimmick. What do we have here? We have Waterfront Bouncer.
Yeah, not the ideal threat against the Landstill deck, but it does need a plow, which is pretty fantastic for me.
Yeah, I'm If I'm you, I am more than happy to trade a Swords to Plowshares for a Waterfront bounce.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Because especially given that, because it's what? It's bounce a creature, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
unsummon, yeah.
Yeah, unsummon against the deck that wins with Decree of Justice doesn't seem
Ooh. Ben drops a
super
morph.
powerful.
That's a pretty good one. I have a morph of my own I can drop, but he's going to get to flip his first.
Yep.
And I think it looks like I cut my plows in. Good job, me.
Yeah.
Oh, what a cheater, not shuffling. Oh, okay, there he goes.
Mm.
I do that often. I'll pause to cast my spell and then I'll go and shuffle for my fetch land.
Oh yeah, you also cheat a lot.
Yep.
But I mean, unfortunately, with Psychotog, sometimes just like things feel like
you
you're
got
cheating.
to. You just have to. Yeah. I don't think Ben has a second white for this Exalted Angel though, which is very unfortunate.
I mean, you get to divvy it up in two, but you got to pay the whole bill.
Yeah, you do.
I think he's also got a Pocket Wrath. Things go sideways if he gets another white.
Yes, good catch on that. Yeah, good catch on that.
Attacking with it. All right, Carl. Do you think you were supposed to take the trade here?
No way. No. If he didn't, if he didn't flip it, he's like I think you would. I don't know. I think it's wrong to trade there because I have the mana to flip my angel, whereas he does not. And since he didn't plow it earlier when I didn't have counter mana open, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have done it now. But it looks like I just keep my mana open.
Don't flip in response.
Yeah, I'm afraid of the plow, which makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
He's got the Darker Wastes. That's the mana for the flippiness. But I don't know he can afford to do it either. Like, because he's got to hold back like counter mana, and he's got a standstill, which is interesting. We could just beat the crap out of each other with Exalted Angels for a little while.
Guess so, but then how do we break parity there?
Ben has Decree of Justice, and I do not.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't flip it.
I would say more from you, Carl. Like,
oh yeah, I
what
don't.
Do you think
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way I break parity. Yeah, not profitably anyway. So it looks like I have an Armageddon in my hand, which could be very, very powerful. If I can like flip my angel and have him not flip his.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Mana Leak finding Factor Fiction here is huge.
Yeah, I don't know what Ben's gonna untap with here, but he's got to fire off spells at some point. And
probably Ben stays the purist route. I see a lot of other Landstill players. Landstill came in second in the big Duress Crew event they just had last week, and he seems to refuse to get on the Parallax Tide train.
I could see that, yeah. It doesn't synergize super well with the things that you're doing in your deck. Like, you're trying to cast Standstill or draw spells, and then like some uncounterable or difficult to deal with threats, and like Tide just you have to run a bunch of cards that just don't fit into that game plan. As good as Tide is, don't get me wrong, it is a very, very powerful card. So it looks like I can go.
It does certainly seem like Tide can go into most, if not every blue deck. I will say
it definitely can. So I've got a line here where I could plow, flip my angel, and then untap and get in. Would be, I don't know though. I really want to resolve the plow. Yeah, I could do that. He's just his mana leak, so I could just go for plow, flip, untap, and then get in, and then it gets mana leaked. So maybe not that. I remember playing with this Armageddon and looking at it and being like, this is going to be very, very good. I just don't know when it's going to be very, very good. Okay, so the plow comes out. Looks like Ben has no answer for it. If only he was playing Prohibit instead of Mana Leak, which I know he has done before. He has played Prohibit over Mana Leak before. But he just hasn't hit a lot of he hasn't hit any impulses. That's his real problem. He hasn't hit any impulses.
That's true. He isn't playing his Oathbreaker spell. Are you guys familiar with the Oathbreaker format?
I am, yeah. It's like EDH. But
yeah,
you get a
it's like
you get
EDH,
a signature
but
spell.
You also get a spell.
Yeah. It's an interesting format. I remember hearing about it. I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And then I started hearing about all the disgusting, like planeswalker / sorcery combinations you'd have. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
So the plow resolves, which is a pretty good indicator for me that Ben does not have it. Oh, I have a prohibit. Did you know that prohibit can counter mana leak? It's prohibit can counter mana
I
leak.
did know that.
Prohibit can also counter Wrath of God.
Prohibit can also counter Wrath of God. Because
Use
in
the kicker.
pre-modern, unlike regular modern, the board wipes are interactable. But
That's
unfortunately, here's another mana leak. And things could certainly be worse.
They could. If I'd hit a creature there, I got to slam a creature and then get in. Instead, I drew a disenchant, and disenchant does a whole lot of nothing right now. Yeah. Oh, the standstill hits.
What are we bringing disenchants in for here, Carl?
Humility, factories.
Okay.
Because if humility hits my creature, I've got a bunch of overcosted 1/1s, and it's not going to be good for me.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because with standstill hitting on Ben's side, that just really is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I could disenchant the standstill too, I guess, but.
Can you?
I mean, I can. It just sacrifices.
I
I was being. Yeah, sorry. I was mostly joking. You can do it. Doesn't mean it's going to do anything.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Same thing happened when I think Josh was playing against me, and he wanted to stifle my standstill trigger. I'm like, well, you can do that, but it's not going to work the way you want it to.
Yeah. Yes, you can stifle that trigger.
That is a legal play you can make. Yep.
I don't think there's any trigger in Magic that Josh hasn't tried to stifle.
That's what it's for. Triggers are for stifling. Just building up the hand.
Stifle was invented for keeping the stack nice and clean.
Exactly. So this is that was a good draw. Okay.
Mistress Factory here is
under
great.
The standstill.
Yeah, although I don't know if I can afford to attack with it because I just get decreed out. But I guess I really don't have much of a choice, right? Like I've gotta go for it, but I don't. Interesting. Ben could decree for 5. Ugh. If he had it, he would have cast it. Like I think it's not a good play on my part to not attack with this factory. But all right, so triggering the standstill at the end of his turn. I think I put him over 8. Oh, I put him right into the decree. Yuck. That decree is going to be huge. If Ben is able to survive like the early onslaught and like I can't disrupt him enough with meddling mages, it's really his game to win, I think, because he just has to, or his game to lose. I don't know how the saying goes. He will do well because he can cast Decree of Justice or cycle it, and there is not a whole lot I can do about it in my blue-white creature deck.
Yeah, I mean, unless you can stick a Geddon, which you still have don't you have a Geddon in your hand right now?
I do, yeah. I do. The problem is I have to stick a threat and a Geddon against his 7 cards.
That's true.
Which is not ideal.
Here comes... He discarded... Is that... That's Aura of Silence, right?
It is Aura of Silence, yeah. Aura of Silence doesn't do a whole lot right now. Like, it kills the Mistress Factory, but he's got Plow, he's got Decree, he doesn't need it.
I mean, if you stick it before a standstill, it kills a standstill.
That's true.
It is sometimes just seal cleansing.
I can play my own standstill. Love it.
Like right here.
Yeah, I like this because I get to stay up on lands. If he cycles Decree, I can go get another Mistress Factory. Oh no, disaster! Well, all those fun plans I had laid out.
This was in response to standstill.
Yeah. Yep. So now I get to break my own standstill again at some point. As opposed to his. Which seems rather unfair. I feel like Ben should break my standstill because I broke his.
Yeah. Interesting here. It looks like he has a counterspell in his hand. It looks like
his hand is pretty stocked.
I'm curious why, when it looks like you only have a few cards left in your hand, why wouldn't you want to counter the standstill, right?
He doesn't. He's going to function better on the standstill than I will. Like he's going to be able to cycle this Decree, make a ton of soldiers, and then go on his merry way. Or he can just sit there and doesn't do anything. Because he's under 0 pressure right now. Like he's sitting at 16. He's got a full grip. He's got a ton of lands. I have very few of those things. Looks like I'm saving some lands for my Armageddon at some point. Okay.
Yeah, it sucks that you can't attack with a Mishra's Factory here either.
Yeah, I mean I can. It's just gonna die. To this decree that I think Ben
Yes.
is gonna cycle because I think that's gonna be pretty strong. He's gonna get 6 soldiers if he cycles. Yeah, he can just throw meat at the Mishra's Factory and let them grind down and then eventually win. So I have to hit another factory. I'm gonna have to flip. I'm gonna have to break my standstill to cast this angel. Not looking super good for Flippi fans here.
Well, it's all right. Even though this game is not looking your way, we still have game 3.
That's true. That's true.
All right, so that's a cycle for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
So he will 3-turn clock you.
Yep. Yep. And Ben has the appropriate tokens, which I respect.
Mm-hmm.
And the appropriate amount.
That is also very commendable.
Yeah.
There are not a lot of people who are going to sit around with 6 unglued soldier tokens.
I'd like to know how many he carries.
Maybe we'll find out.
At least 6.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. Well done.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite sayings
logic
is saying it's at least this.
undeniable.
All right, I'm disenchanting my standstill now. This is not what you want to be doing, everybody. Just as a heads up.
No.
Oh, he has a
definitely
disenchant.
not great.
Oh yeah, like not good. Not good. Oh no, he's. Oh no, yeah. I was just putting my standstill in the graveyard. Yeah.
Yep. Everything is resolved, and you're dead in like
2 turns. Yeah.
See, that beautiful counterspell is just hanging out in his hand.
Mm-hmm. I can.
He discards
that's
land,
different.
mana leak.
Yeah, that's for those of you that are not sure, that is not a good thing if your opponent is doing that.
Yeah.
All right, Waterfront Bouncer's a blocker.
Waterfront Bouncer is a card.
I really feel like I should.
Wonder
Yeah,
if
I should
counter,
drop this angel. Yeah, just to block with.
Here comes the morph.
Oh, he's got another decree.
Promote
1, 2.
some action. Oh, if he's got another decree, then never.
I think he's just gonna Wrath though. He doesn't need to decree here. He can just untap Wrath and then counter my next threats or whatever, and then play another decree. Because this decree doesn't set him up for lethal.
3, 7.
Because I can block 3 of them.
Well, it looks like he's got.
I guess me to 1.
I can't tell whether he's got spot removal or just Wrath in his hand. It looks like just Wrath.
Decree, mana leak.
Oh, counterspelling the angel.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good play.
Counterspell the morph.
Wrath.
Get to the last card in hand.
Standstill,
like
counterspell. I think he is it. Does he have humility on top?
I think he does.
The
yeah.
white card.
I think that's what I was looking at there. Yeah. Hard to tell.
Yeah. I mean, humility doesn't do a whole lot. It just kind of shortens the clock from 3 to 2.
Yeah, it doesn't really. Yeah, it doesn't do much. It just staves off any future like actual threatening creatures I could draw.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So humility, it just makes it lose the abilities, right? So if you animate
Correct.
a Mishra's Factory and you have a second factory, you can still use the non-creatured factory.
So with the way that layers work, which I don't understand and I don't care to understand, Mishra's Factory underneath humility is a 2/2.
Okay.
And if you have another Mishra's Factory, you can use that Mishra's Factory to make it a 3/3, but you cannot pump. It loses its own abilities, but it stays as a 2/2. It's the same with like Fairy Conclave. Fairy Conclave becomes a 2/1, but it loses flying.
The mysteries of humility abound.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. Well, that makes no sense, but it looks like this game is over.
Yep. I think humility is one of those things that was in the Insane Clown Posse song, but I'm not entirely sure. Humility, how does it work?
How does it work?
I think
it's like you've got 2 factories in your opener.
Yeah,
looks like that's going to be put back into the deck. Let's see what we got here on Ben's side. I see swords, counterspell, mana leak.
Oh yeah.
That
looks like at least 2 lands. That sounds like a keep to me, guys. I don't know about you.
It should be pretty
good.
So
do you guys think there is a better late game deck in the pre-modern format than Landstill?
Replenish.
You think Replenish's late game is even better?
Yeah. Replenish can lock you out, whereas
lock.
Yeah, it can just lock you out. Enchantress is a very strong late game as well. It can also establish.
True, but Enchantress, you kind of gotta like you need a lot to establish the full
It's true.
total for it.
Yeah, no, you're very correct. Yeah.
Yeah, probably that, Chris. I would agree with you there. I don't think there would be too many others. I mean,
Ooh, Wayfair. Oh, well, Wayfair, but I've got a secluded step. Womp womp.
Oh,
that is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Best draw for
All
me is a
right, well,
mage. It's like a mage plow and then
Secluded
just kind of
Step
go
coming
nuts.
back to bite you here.
Yep, could have been a plains. Oh wow. Okay, that's a draw.
All right,
Yeah.
Meddling Mage. I wonder what we're naming.
That one.
Swords to Plowshares. What a surprise.
Didn't even need to change it up. Okay, so that's pretty strong. Ooh, Fairy Conclave too. It's nice. And I just get to sit back with counter mana with my Meddling Mage. Yeah, this is what Flippi wants to do. Like Flippi wants to drop Meddling Mage and attack a bunch and then kill them.
Carl, when Ben went island go, were how tingling were your counterspell senses?
Pretty tingling. Yeah. There's definitely a Peter tingle there.
Okay. Well, here comes Standstill after the Wayfarer gets mana leaked.
Yeah, if he wraths here, I'm
pretty
thrilled.
good.
Yeah.
This is exactly what you want to be doing against the control deck.
Yep.
Sure, you can have my Wayfarer. I'll stick Ancestral.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how I feel about not attacking with the factory here. Do you guys think that would like? So he's at 16. That does decrease the clock a little bit. Like,
well,
speeds it up a bit.
It's a fairly free attack. The problem is, it's how much do you think he can go spot removal? I mean, not spot removal. Like Wrath on the kill the Meddling Mage, and then like do something else. But even if he does, I feel like the Wrath of God will be pretty favorable to you because you get to crack it and draw 3 cards.
Yeah,
that's
my thought too. Yeah,
I'll just draw my second Meddling Mage and recast it. Thanks.
Yeah, I think not attacking with the factory that last turn was loose, but okay. So Ben cracks my Standstill, which is pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm sitting at like 6 cards, so I'm gonna end up discarding a bunch.
Well, what does suck though is if you do jam, and he untaps and goes Humility, you're in a lot more trouble because then the Swords to Plowshares, doesn't even matter because the mage it can just be cast as a 1/1.
Exactly. Yeah. Looks like Ben has a challenging impulse to resolve here. I think I saw a Decree in there, but I don't remember for sure.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where you don't want your opponent having a hard time of what to pick off of the impulse.
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. You don't want them to have good choices to make from their impulse. You want them to have crappy choices to make from their impulse.
That's nothing makes me happier than when my Dreadnought opponent has to shuffle off of their portent, and I'm like, oh, that feels so good.
Yep. Okay. Yep. So Ben hits a potential Standstill here. He has a Decree in his hand, so that's going to set himself up real good for next turn. Looks like he didn't take the Standstill though. I think it's probably fine. I think he's in pretty good shape here. Discarding a Disenchant, which is bold against this Humility deck that I'm like I should be hyper aware of Humility right now. Like there's no way I should be letting that through.
Yeah, but sometimes you just got to put your opponents on not having it.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Which if Ben had it, I think he would have slammed it here, so.
Yeah. I mean, you're tapped out and have a Meddling Mage. Now is the perfect time to cast.
Exactly. It opens up his Swords of Plowshares, and then he can do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. You just go Humility, hold up, hold up Counterspell for your Disenchant. Untap Decree, begin to win the game.
Right. So I saw there's Reverent Mantra in my hand, which I'm very excited to see if it's going to do anything here. It's been a little while since we played this, but the card is sweet.
Carl, why don't you tell us about Reverent Mantra and what it does?
Well, it certainly doesn't destroy all enchantments and let your opponent gain 6 life. That is definitely not what that card does.
No, I think that's Reverent Silence.
It is Reverent Silence. Okay, Ben is making an Angel with a sweet RK Post Angel token. Reverent Mantra is a pitch spell where you exile a white card from your hand and cast as an instant, and gives all your creatures protection from a color of your choice until the end of the turn. So it can be used as like a counter spell against Swords of Plowshares. It can be used to kind of like punch your way through creatures. It's pretty nice against the Decree Soldier tokens and the Angel tokens because they're all both white. Hit the 4th land, which I don't think I can safely jam a Standstill here. So I'm not sure what the goal here is. What's the plan past Carl? What are you gonna do? Drop Wayfarer, maybe? Wayfarer would be pretty sweet here. I've got a Factor Fiction, it looks like, on the far left of my hand. Yeah, this is a good Wayfarer turn.
Yeah, I think starting and in most combinations of this turn, seems like Wayfarer is a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Because then not only do we have whatever you do on his end step or whatever you do even on his turn, you have to answer this whether Wayfarer now too.
Yep.
Because Mage is still on Swords to Plowshares, so the removal here is board wipe or bust.
Yep. And this is this would be nice because I can search out Mistress Factories or all sorts of stuff. There's some cool things you can do with Weathered Wayfarer and things like Wasteland or Fetchlands. So what you can do is you can activate your Wasteland or your Fetchland, then activate the Weathered Wayfarer in response to that before it resolves. So you're down a land, get your land, and then you resolve and either get your land out or destroy your opponent's land.
Yeah, pretty much the way that I imagine it is Weather Wayfarer is a button. You can press that button if at any point this condition is true.
Yep.
So
100%.
You can't you can stifle a Weather Wayfarer activation, but you can't counter it. You can't make it fizzle.
Right. Ben's thinking about getting frisky with his Angel. Get in there, attack. Yeah.
I don't know about. I mean, he has like a Decree probably by now.
Yeah.
I think it wouldn't be.
Oh, he goes for Humility.
Oh, just kidding. Humility.
Okay.
I feel like he was definitely supposed to attack there then. Oh, here comes
Oh,
Mana
he's
Leak.
at 11. He takes 3 if he attacks. It's not ideal.
He's going to fire back. Here comes Counterspell in response.
Ooh, Teferi's Protection. Or Teferi's Response, I'm sorry. Teferi's Protection is an EDH card. Get a Mistress Factory to my hand. It's pretty nice against the Humility. Looks like Ben... I do not see a Decree of Justice in Ben's hand, so that is going to be a little awkward for him. The question is, do I attack with my Factory this turn? I don't think they do. Honestly, I think I want to just cast... Do I have Standstill to play? Yeah, I do. What do you guys think about casting Standstill here? Like...
Say go for it. You got 3 creatures to his 1.
Yep.
If you can stick a card that says draw 3 cards, I feel like we're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, no doubt.
Especially because of the way that... I was going to say, especially because of the way that Humility works apparently with these lands. Like,
right.
Fairy Conclave is still a 2/1. Factory is still a 2/2. Like,
oh yeah.
Okay.
It's like been sitting on a Wrath of God. That's not going to be so great against my creature lands. Like I got Factory and Conclave going.
Yeah.
Not ideal for him.
The only way for him to meaningfully interact here is with
Memory
Decree
Lapse.
Justice that he can't really find.
Yep. Yeah, just...
All right, we are getting jiggy with it.
Transform.
Everybody into the red zone.
Is this the 3rd or 4th time you've out Landstilled the Landstill deck?
This is at least the 2nd time.
Looks like you just drew 3 lands off that Standstill.
I sure did, but I've got Memory Lapse at the ready.
Here comes Mana Leak to counter the Memory Lapse.
And then I have Teferi's, or not Teferi's. I do have Teferi's Protection.
Reverent Mantra.
Yep, and that does counter the Sword Splashers pretty effectively.
I will give my creatures pro white.
But then wouldn't that... Mana Leak.
Would that be lost because of the Humility making creatures lose abilities?
No, it happens afterwards, so it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, the Insane Clown Posse mispronounced humility when they said magnets in their song.
Yeah.
So Ben's in a really good spot here if he has a decree, but I can see he does not have a decree. I did draw 1,000 lands, so that's pretty helpful for me.
Dust Bowl, a great draw here.
Mm-hmm. But I don't
He
leave
goes
it
down to
untapped.
4. Looks like he's got Counterspell. All right, Exalted Angel. All right, Carl. Under
Mhm.
a Humility, what is a Morph? Is it a 2/2?
Nope, it's a 1/1.
It's a 1/1?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Because the thing that is giving the attribute of having power and toughness is not happening after humility is in play. So it's
So we have to deal with time-stamped layers too?
I think so.
But
No.
morph is an ability, correct? So you can't actually morph the creature up under humility, can you?
Correct. Morphing is a special action that the creature has, and it cannot be done when humility is in play because the creature does not
Is
have
that
the
a
ability.
factor fiction?
That was a
This
factor
fact?
fiction. Yep, I got I think one kicking around in there.
Oh my goodness. So we have Dark Wastes plus Disenchant, and then Exalted Angel, other card. Waterfront Bouncer?
Yeah, I think it's a Wayfarer. Yeah, I think I just want to jam these overcosted 1/1s.
Yeah, giving you creatures over a land, you know,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't seem that great. Like, I mean, yeah, Disenchant, unlocks the creatures,
Yeah.
but you're pretty ahead.
Yep. All right, I just throw my creatures out there, throw them into the meat grinder for the Wrath of God that I don't think Ben is holding. Yeah, that's wild. I forgot what the other two
Here
cards were.
comes
Yeah,
Waterfront Bouncer and Weathered Wayfarer.
some appropriately costed counterspell on
The
the Wayfarer.
Wayfarer will
Love
be
to see it. Love to see it.
Yes, I would like to counter your 1/1 soldier with my
Or
counterspell.
silence. Okay.
Aura of Silence does
Not a
nothing
lot
here.
here. It counters my next factory, but he's sitting at 3.
Does it still hold its type of artifact creature?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it also counters your next standstill.
Yep.
If you were
Yep.
just that lucky.
Which I think I am lucky enough to have one, but it's not. I don't really think I'd care about casting standstill here.
The other text on Aura of Silence is it's a
tax. It's 2 extra mana to cast
pay
instants and
2 for
artifacts and
each
enchantments.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
All right, getting in there for 2. You don't have to worry about Decree because he can only cycle for 1, and if he did, he would die.
Yep, exactly. But that said, he can cycle it next turn. For not as much as he'd like to, because I have many ways to destroy his lands.
Yeah.
Yeah, get out of here,
I think I
Secluded
saw
Step,
a
piece of
Landstill
garbage.
list somewhere that was playing 1 Renewed Faith, which he
Interesting.
could have cast.
It's a cute card.
Yeah. I think it should be left into the Rifter decks, though.
I would probably agree with that. All right, Ben scoops it up. Good match.
Nope,
Doesn't
look like he had much going on.
Yeah, he had nothing coming for a while. He had some lands and some
Yeah.
other stuff. I am a little sad we didn't get to see Teferi's Protection do anything. But, that's okay.
Yeah, Teferi's Protection, it's very much a this card is amazing or this card is garbage.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the card has very few moments in the spotlight.
Yep, it does not get them. I did Teferi's response. Oh yeah, this is round 2, so I'm showing Ben discreetly what I had because I didn't want to share it with anybody else. So True Believer came out. Yeah, True Believer, I don't think I drew it the entire day, probably because I kept on siding it out, but it's really good against Oath decks. It gives you Shroud so that your opponents can't target you with Oath of Druids. They also can't target you with like the Rack.
Also means they can't target you with Fire Blast.
That's true. That is very much a thing they cannot do.
Yeah, especially if you put, a Mom before it.
Yep.
Against red deck, if you go Mom, they go Jackal Pup, you go True Believer, I feel like most red deck players would concede, unless they were playing Earthquake.
Right.
Unless they were
which
playing Earthquake.
they
Earthquake would
could be
answer
doing.
that.
It would eventually. Yeah. Definitely would. Definitely would. Well, that was a sweet match. I did not. It's been a while since we played it, so I didn't remember. I actually didn't remember how the game went. I did not expect Flippi to get there. Like, Ben's a better Landstill deck than I am, like on paper, but in practice, just keeping him off kilter with meddling mages and a little bit of disruption from counterspells was enough to get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, turns out having a meddling mage go coast to coast is the gameplay that Flippi wants.
It is. It is. Any final thoughts on the match before I let the good folks go?
No, that was just, some blue-white guys battling out. One person's playing Wrath of God, the other one's playing the opposite of Wrath of God. So it's tale as old as time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Flippi is proud that the younger aggro brother of Landstill got there.
As he should be, as he should be. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. Actually, I don't know if you guys saw, we recently hit 500 subscribers, which is very exciting. So, best of luck getting us.
We're actually at 502 right now.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Well, thanks everybody that has subscribed, and hope you guys are enjoying it. And for Chris, Ryan, and myself, we'll catch you in the next one. Have a good time.
Have a good night.